All right, after having some quick discussion here, we'll go ahead and let you all testify or, you know, if, whatever your concerns are. And then, Mr. Douglas, we will then decide whether we're going to, you know, continue the hearing or ask it to be tabled or, you know, what procedure we'll follow after that. But that way, everything's on the record and it, you know, it's being recorded and that way, you know, it's fair for everybody. So, Mr. Green, and if you
I need
would.
to swear us in?
Yeah, we'll get you both sworn in again. Ms. Fox?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do
And just name and address for the record again, please.
James D. Green Jr., address 3200 Halls Hill Road.
Okay?
You want stuff? We actually have an attorney that is representing us on trying to get the easement release, and we haven't reached an agreement on that yet. And the county attorney that was here last time, I believe his name was Carter, said that none of this would move forward till that was done. So we told him we didn't think he'd need to be here today. And we actually talked to Mr. Adams Saturday, and he said he was remanding this off. And after we got back from vacation next week, we'd get together and discuss the easement release and thought we could work through it. And we said that'd be fine. And then we found out it's on the docket, so we came on down here.
Do you have private counsel other than Mr. Carter, who is the county attorney?
He's not our counsel, Robert Brooks.
You have a separate private counsel?
Yes.
And is he communicating with?
He has been
with-
forwarding
with-
information to us. The last thing we got was, we're working through the easement issues, but it is still not, we're still not finalized to that point yet. We're making progress.
So you were under the opinion that this matter was being tabled today, or it wouldn't be on the docket today?
I was under that
While this
impression. but-
Ongoing negotiations
Yeah,
are
based
taking
on,
place.
I think the board said the easement thing needed to be cleaned up before we did anything, and it's not cleaned up yet.
Okay?
Did Mr. Carter put on the record during the last proceeding information to that effect?
Did? Yes. Yes. And, yeah, that was put on the record, and that's the reason it was tabled last month was because of the, you know, one of the issues was the easement. And
Right,
so,
right.
you know, we were under the assumption that that had been resolved, or at least I was as chairman, that it had been resolved and was, you know, so we were moving forward, you know, with that discussion and hopefully resolution today. But, you know, I don't think we can resolve this today without the easement being resolved, so.
Could I add to his statement?
I think she needs to be sworn in.
She was.
I was. We have proceeded in good faith with trying to work through some of this, but I feel like he built on the easement. He's commented I can drive my car into the house and he can put a gate up on the drive that we're currently using. There was only, we asked for about 38 feet in consideration of this house being on this easement that we've maintained for almost 11 years that's not usable to Mr. Adams. Well, what occurred is the home that we now own was his son's home, and they built the driveway over the property line. So most of our parking is over the property line. And he thought his son would live there forever and it wouldn't be an issue. I assume, I don't know, you know, what he thought. But we have been in discussion with Mr. Craig Mile about working, and the language that's been presented as an agreement is all skewed towards him having the authority to grant additional use at his discretion. And I have a problem with that. Do you have anything
No,
else
I
to
mean,
add?
but we're, you know, I think eventually we'll be able to work through the easement process. And she's right that we've offered to purchase the 38 feet, or do concrete work at the new easement or whatever to try to, we don't want him to take something from him for nothing because our parking is across the property line.
Well, it's been insulting because he built a house knowingly on an easement and has told us it's no big deal. And if I built something on an easement that serviced this committee, I assure you it would be a big deal. So, So those are my concerns. We just want the right thing done. Amy, I'm sorry, I flipped the screen by accident. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And when we were here before, even Ms. Crosby commented that she was appalled that this had gotten this far. And I have stacks of papers where I've came up here and got all the documents from when Mr. Adams first acquired this property. And it just seems like everything keeps slipping in and slipping in. And it's just sloppy and it's still not cleaned up. Thank you.
Anything else that you all like to add? Is there anyone else here that would like to add anything to this information? We'll get you sworn in
I
again.
need to be sworn in again, I guess.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. My name is Greg Jones. I live at 3116 Halls Hill Road, known as Track D in this plat record. I would just like to, to say that, I don't know what kind of authority that you all have and that we have in ordering to help get the easement issue reconciled, but I can promise you that if we go ahead and move forward with the approval of Tract A, probably the easement issue will probably disappear somehow, some way. I'm sure Mr. Adams will find a way to do that. Our concern is clearly he has a history of not necessarily following the rules to the letter, and the way things look, the way they've got them laid out at the moment, I can promise you within the next 8 to 10 years, we'll find another house sitting on Track C. I know you made the comment, how did we allow this to happen? And the truth is, you all didn't let it happen. The truth is, Mr. Adams has discovered the loopholes and has taken advantage of those and has figured out ways to get his way the way he wants to do it. And I think we need to use our resources to the best of our ability to try and at least discourage that continued behavior as much as possible. So obviously at the moment I would encourage you all to at least table the approval of Tract A, if not dismiss it completely, until at least the easement agreement is reached. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am? Back up if you would, please.
Sorry. I'd just like to further state and I don't like to draw on this thing, I mess things up. We referenced that there are 2 structures on one track. And for the record, I'd also like to note that, to the best of my knowledge, there's a home and a barn and a garage. There is a building permit for the home, but there are no permits for the garage and the barn.
Both of those structures also on Track C.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone else that's here that would like to testify? Have anything to say? All right. Yeah, just, no, let me, Mr. Craig Milo, would you come back up, please? As chair, we just can't make a decision with this many unknowns. I mean, I thought, was under the impression that this, had been worked out or whatever, and that you all were bringing this, back forward to, for resolution to, to redo look at the plats and whatever. But as Mr. Douglas points out, and I think I'm not speaking for our council, but I think, he's not comfortable not having this worked out. At least the discussions that we've had here this morning. So, I think at the minimum, we're going to have to table this again, and this is going to have to be resolved. This easement issue has to be resolved before we can make any kind of decision here as far as the planning commission concerned. I know you said, you wanted to, look at the variance and, different thing, get that approved, but, I think you're looking at the big picture. We've got to have this thing as a package, and we've got to be comfortable as a commission as to where we are, and until we get this easement resolved, I don't think we can make any kind of decision. Now, that's just, speaking as chairman, but, and I've not consulted or not got concurrence from the commission, but, I think the minimum that we've got to look at is those easement has got to be decided and have to be signed off on, and it has to be legal before we can make any kind of decision.
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, procedurally, you have to understand way this got here. We originally filed this as a Board of Adjustments action just for Tract A, okay? We were told we can't go to the Board of Adjustments because apparently there's a letter in the file that says no more subdivisions or no more building permits without a review by the Planning Commission based on a letter that was written prior to Louise. So we decided to try to solve everybody's problems and come to you all because you all have the same authority as the Board of Adjustments when it comes to variances and conditional use permits. And so we would try to clean up the plat for this entire 16.8 acres at the same time and get the variance approved at the same time. Well, everything that was objected to at the last hearing has been taken care of. He eliminated this Tract A up here. We cut this down to 2.34 acres. And I suppose I would object to the hearsay of what Mr. Adams supposedly said, or how he said it, but what we were going to do was just, if we couldn't get this easement worked out, because we're sort of being held hostage for a land grab here, because we would really just want to give them the correct easement. I've done 3 or 4 iterations of this thing and given it to their attorney, and the last one was sent to him Friday. I talked to him on the phone last night. He's in Hopkinsville. He doesn't really have any knowledge or objection to the Tract A that we have here. His whole issue is they're trying to negotiate for some extra land on Tract E, which David Adams has said he'll talk to him about it. He just doesn't want to be forced into it in order to get this plat done today. And so we're willing to take the plat off the table or go with the variance, or let us go back to the Board of Adjustments. I mean, I've got an application to go to the Board of Adjustments and a filing fee. We can just withdraw this whole thing and forget trying to fix your plat, okay? Because it doesn't help us to fix this plat, okay? We're doing it to help you guys, the Planning Commission, straighten up the records that are messed up over the years. So we've got a very nice plat. It's drawn. We've added utilities to it. And it's ready to go. We'll come back next month and get the record plat approved if we can get the easement released, so we can give them their new easement and get the old easement, which has never been used. The old easement is an old dirt road that used to go down to Halls Hill that was not very accessible. So they have always had access to this concrete and crushed pavement drive. It's always been there. There's a complete waiver, and even if it's not written, it's an easement by prescription. They've had this easement ever since they've lived there. They've pitched in, he's paved it, he's put concrete on it. Now there's a question, well, where's the water line? Okay, we want the water lines drawn on there. Okay, we'll draw the water lines on there, on the big plat when we file that. But, because we can't have 2 actions at the same time, if you all table this, we want to withdraw this application altogether, which is what I guess John supposedly said, or you can bifurcate it. If you're gonna vote us down, then we're not going to table this. We're just going to withdraw it and then go to the Board of Adjustments because we're not seeking a new building permit. I don't know. I mean, you're procedurally, Jim. I would look to Jim to see what his recommendation is, but I don't know why you can't just vote on the variance for 56 feet and then table the approval of the master plat when we finally give these folks the easement that we've got like 4 versions of it for. There's no tricks in this easement. It's a very standard easement with a road maintenance agreement. So that's where we
You
stand.
recommended my recommendation, and I'm the one that wrote that letter pre-Louise, and it was because this was becoming a subdivision by default, and it has been proven over the years that it's messed up.
So the whole idea of going to the Board of Adjustments, we will not advance any application for a variance to the Board of Adjustments. It clearly says it should come to the Planning Commission. Dave Garber has done a great job of sorting out all of the what is, because there have been many kind of shell games with different surveyors. I'm putting this all in the record because this is the way it is. There have been multiple surveyors and multiple building permits and issues created by the applicant. And Dave Garber has done a good job of sorting it all out to present it to the Planning Commission as a record plat. And on a record plat, when it's recorded, it has to show all easements and release of easements or anything. So I really don't think that we can bifurcate this thing and make a separate decision until all of the issues on a record plat are complete. And that's my
See, I
opinion.
don't understand why this minor plat here is, why you would think logically you would first approve the minor plat and then approve the record plat. And that's what we're trying to do it in two steps. I mean, this is not unusual. In law, it's not unusual to take different issues separately and rule upon issues separately. I would agree that the entire, you have to distinguish that there's two issues here. There's two motions. One motion is a motion for a subdivision, approve a minor subdivision plat, which includes a variance. The second motion is to approve the record plat that incorporates by reference the first motion. So there's really, I guess I would make two motions here, since I believe you're allowed to make motions before the Planning Commission. I would make a motion to approve that you all grant the minor subdivision plat subject to the with the variance, and then go forward with the entire record plat when that's done. I don't see why that's complicated. It's maybe I've looked at it too long, or I've listened to Amy too much.
Well, I think you should focus on the Planning Commission members and hear what they have to say.
Well, I mean, I just hope the fellow, because we're trying to, we're being held up by an easement, we're trying to grant somebody, I'd sure hate to see, a sale lost, It's been a month now. So, anyway, that's all I have. I mean, I'll entertain any questions, but I don't understand why there couldn't be it's an application for a variance.
Holmes, let me, you're sitting in today as our attorney, and, I know you've not been familiarized with all of the issues here or whatever, but what you've heard this morning, would you recommend to the commission that as he suggested, that we do this, or do we just need to table the whole thing, and once those issues are worked out, then come back and make a decision?
I don't like going forward with this, since they have not resolved the easement issue, which was paramount in bringing this back before this commission. I don't know the status of it. There's another attorney involved in this. There are other people involved in this. And it's not just so simple as to say we're trying to do something for them. We don't know the other side. It's unfortunate that the attorney that represents them is not present today to address the issue involving the easement. But an easement is an easement. And it's not going to just disappear unless you all can work something out.
Hold on a minute, hold on.
Okay.
And Mr. Carter, I'm not going to go against what Mr. Carter said. And basically, this easement is not just going to be abolished unless you all work something out on it. And I don't think this commission should go forward and piecemeal this and grant a variance right in the face of an easement that's sitting right there looking at you.
Well, why can't you see the variance, the variance on the right is totally separate from the easement on the left? Why is that not pretty clear?
I don't know where your new easement's going to be.
The variance on the
see.
right has to do with this tract over here on tract A, okay? The easement has solely to do with Tract E. There are two separate and distinct issues you have to separate in your mind. There's Tract A issue and there's the Tract E issue. Okay? You're making your decision on Tract E that has nothing to do with Tract A. Okay? Tract A is what we originally went to the Board of Adjustments for a variance on Tract A. Okay? We filed that. We were given the funds back, and we applied them to this instead. Yes?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Jeffries, may I ask a quick question to start?
Yes.
Because of all the different plats, it gets very confusing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Tract A, the one we're discussing, is currently part of Tract C, so there are two dwellings on the same tract.
That's correct.
So therefore, my concern is you cannot remove Tract A and address it alone because in effect, you are working with Tract C where the easement is going to exist and be removed. And with all due respect, I would think if Mr. Adams was so concerned about this going through that he would bother to show up. He's had two opportunities to show up, so all we can hear is from you what you say he said, what they say he said, but yet he won't be here to argue. But then there seems to be this frustration that it's not getting done. Tell him to show up, and then maybe we can get it done.
And I think that's a good point, that Tract A and C are linked. Because currently, that's all one tract.
And let me open it up for discussion of the, we don't have a motion on the floor, I'm not ready to go there yet, but let's, what are the concerns the commissioners have? Ms. Crosby?
Well, Mr. Craig Mile, this is the first application since I've been here that you brought in or somebody has brought in piecemeal. And I
Everything I
hate
do is
piecemeal stuff, in addition to the fact that Mr. Adams, I don't recall him coming before us but one time, and he was not the best client at that time.
Yeah, don't
But
go there.
I don't want to go there. But it appears that we've got a partial subdivision here already that has never come to us as a subdivision. It was all approved by the board. I mean, not by the board, but by the staff.
Previous staff.
Prior to, yeah. By previous staff. And now he wants to come in and do this. My concern was, and I'm glad you got it, I was going to tell you, bring Mr. Adams before us the next time. Don't come in here without him. That's all I want to say.
Mr. Horton?
Well, I just feel all kinds of concerns here. And another concern is these folks are represented by counsel, and if he or she is not here to represent them as he should be, so that we can hear all sides to everything. So I pretty much echo what Dina said, and I think these folks need to be represented. I think it's time for a table or some other kind of movement, but not to be heard today.
Mr. King?
Mr. Cragmile, do I understand that there is a contract for sale pending on a piece of property that has not been sent to plat?
I'm not doing the real estate. I just know that this Tract A is, there's a buyer for it. And that person would like.
But we can
to get
agree
this
that the physical dimensions of this Tract A are not specifically well-defined. Is that correct?
That's it. That is the Tract A. I mean, Tract A.
That's the
is
one
what
that you're
we're
requesting
talking
that
about.
doesn't exist yet.
Correct. Yes.
Any additional discussion, commissioners? I mean, from what I've heard, at least the consensus of the discussion is that this needs to be tabled and that this does not need to be brought back until this easements are resolved and all the issues that are been presented here have been resolved, and councils that are involved are here, and there's been a request for Mr. Adams, the property owner to be here at our next, at the next hearing that we consider this. So is that kind of what I'm hearing from the commission?
Motion to table.
Yeah. And as chair, I would then ask for, if that's the direction y'all want to go, that we again table this discussion on docket PZ 16017 until these issues are fully resolved and there are assigned documents that state that the easement has been taken care of, and that we can address all of these issues at one time before we make a decision on what we're going to do with the record plat.
Is that a motion?
May I incorporate that language into my motion?
Go ahead, sir. Well, yeah, go ahead. This is a
Thank you.
now, this is just a motion to table. So, I tell you, we don't need a lot of.
Don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need that,
I don't
really.
think you need it, so I
yeah.
just so move it.
So you move to table?
Yeah.
Okay. And are we tabling it to a certain time, or are we just tabling it? Sorry?
Until the issues are resolved.
Until the issues you resolved and
They'll
articulated.
have to put it back, they'll come put it back on when they've resolved the issue.
Right,
So
okay.
we're not gonna set a specific date. to
Okay,
come back.
Mr. Douglas, just a motion to table would be in order.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, a second, multiple seconds. All right, Mr. Craig Mile, you've heard the discussion this morning, and so, I know.
Can I get a clarification?
I'm sorry, let me vote on the motion to table. Motion, it is non-debatable, non-amendable, come to immediate vote. All those in favor of tabling docket PZ 16017 signify by saying aye. All opposed, no? Okay, it's been tabled.
I'd just like to get a clarification as to whether the applicant is prohibited from going to the Board of Adjustments for their variance.
As far as you're concerned, he is.
Mr. Urban?
Again, going back to 1999, a letter said, "Come to the Planning Commission. This is the proper venue in consideration of a record plat that includes the variance and the creation of tracts."
I would say, no. I mean, that would be, is that,
I don't usually put my foot down and say we will not docket it at the Board of Adjustments, but I'm going to at this point say we will not docket this case at the Board of Adjustments.
Well, okay, but perhaps we should know for the record, I mean, Mr. Adams was written a letter in 1998, which was before the law went into effect, I believe, that required, that prohibited 3 subdivisions in 5 years, and it says.
Mr. Craig Mile, I think we're this is
beyond
something
that.
we, are beyond that, and I think you've heard that it will not be docketed at Board of Adjustments, so you're gonna have to come back here, and I think that, in order to get this resolved, those issues are gonna have to be addressed as a package, and it's gonna have to be presented, as the easements have been addressed, and the plats have been addressed, and it's gonna have to come back here. So this docket item has been tabled until,
Okay.
the future.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you all. Commissioners, we've got one other issue I needed to talk about here just real quick. I need to get Mr. Falvey and Ms. Bonet have attended some training with the Kentucky Real Estate Continuing Education Completion Certificate. And so it was a 3-hour course. I guess what we've done in the past is we get a motion to approve that training for House Bill 55. And we would need that for Ms. Bonet and Mr. Falvey for 3 hours.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
They both took the same.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the training hours for Mr. John Falvey and Ms. Laura Bonet signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Do we have anything, Amy, for next month?
That's what Brooke and I were just talking about. We don't have anything filed as of yet for Planning Commission, but I know you will have some items in July because we have some docketed items for TRC. But as filing deadline is tomorrow, so once we have closed the business on Wednesday, I'll email out Thursday whether or not we'll have a Planning Commission on then.
Okay.
Actually, we probably have a little bit of time to understand whether they're coming back.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Do we have anything else, Mr. Urban?
And I'll send everyone their updated training hours after I update Mr. Falvey, Ms. Bonet's training
Right.
hours, what you need for the end of the year.
With that, I think we stand adjourned. Thank you all.